Fenirob here. Today we're going to be looking at Space Empires 4X, and we're going to be looking at the X in Exterminate. I'm going to do a few examples of battles so you can see how it flows. Whenever you have enemy ships that end up after movement in the same hex, you're going to have a battle. What you're going to do is you're going to place this battle token in the hex and you remove the ships down off the map. Once a battle is declared, you will reveal the groups. Now you can see the backs of the ships are the same for each of the factions. So you don't really know what you're up against until the first time you fight that particular group. And here we have some cruisers. There's two of them. Here we have a destroyer, just one. And over here we have a decoy. And here we have two destroyers for the red. First thing you're going to do is any decoys are going to be removed. They're not combat ships, they're fake. So when you're moving around the board, your opponents don't know whether you might have six battle cruisers underneath there. Here we had just a decoy. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove any non-combat ships that are not decoys, like colony ships, miners in the base game. So this colony ship's going to be placed to the side. It's called being screened, which means it's not going to partake in the battle. Now, if the battle is lost by yellow, either through retreating or through being destroyed, then the colony ship would be destroyed as well. Colony ships and miners cannot retreat. So once we've established who's not fighting, now we have to set up the order in which ships are going to fire, and that is measured by the class. You have these letters here, C on the cruiser, D on the destroyers. So I'm going to arrange these to show what order they will fire in. You basically set up rows for the similar classes. Now here, there's no question that these two cruisers are going to fire first. But then we have these ships down here, the destroyers, they're both Ds. Well, the game has a technology sheet where you can keep up with what technologies each different group token has. So if they have tactics, then if there's a tie in a group, they would go ahead and get the tiebreaker. So let's just assume here that neither of these has tactics. That means that the defender would get to fire first in that situation. So the way it's going to go is these two are going to fire. Then if this group has any ships remaining, this group will fire, and then if this group is still remaining, they'll be able to fire back. Normally, you would have to determine who it is you're attacking, but here there's only one option, this group. So we're going to be rolling a 10-sided die for each one of these. The attack strength is 4, which is this number on the left. Defense strength doesn't matter when you're attacking, but here the defense strength of the destroyers are 0. So the number we're trying to hit is a 4 or less on this die. Anything over that is a miss. So let's go ahead and roll. A 1, that's a hit. The game would normally tell you to take a damage marker and place it here to indicate a hit. The destroyer only has a hull size of 1. As you can see here, the cruiser has a hull size of 2. Because of that, that means that for each hit against this group, a ship will be lost. So we really don't need to put the damage marker here. What we really need to do is just flip this over to indicate there's only one ship remaining. But this cruiser group has one more ship and it gets to fire as well. A 2 is also a hit. So this is destroyed, meaning it will not get to fire, and this destroyer group won't need to fire either. The colony ship is safe. Yellow takes control of this hex. If there was an unexplored token remaining in this hex, it could now be explored. And then also, if there was a habitable planet here, the colony ship could land on it and start a colony for this economic phase coming up. And that's one example of how a battle is conducted. Now, once the tokens are flipped for these groups, they will remain this way so everyone can see what types of ship they are until they begin their turn in a hex with a friendly colony. Now we're going to take a look at a battle at that same hex, let's say on a future turn. Yellow is again going to be the aggressor. I've already flipped the counters over. First thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the non-combat ships into a screening situation. Again, they will never participate in a battle, and if that spot is empty of their color at the end of the battle, they will be destroyed. In the first round of battle, you can't retreat at all. In the second round, if it's your turn to fire, a ship could retreat. We'll see if that happens during this battle. I don't know the outcome of it. Now we're going to look at what's called the fleet bonus. Here we have 6 ships for red, 2 cruisers, 2 destroyers, 2 scouts. And we only have 3 ships for yellow, 1 cruiser, and 2 destroyers. Anytime there are double the amount or more of one of the sides, all the ships for that round are going to get a +1 to their attack. At the end of the round, it will be reassessed whether or not they still get the fleet bonus for the next round, and that may depend on how many ships are left for either side. So again, we're going to act like there are no tactics for either side, and tactics would allow ties in a particular class to fire first. Here we have C's, D's, and E's. Because there's no tactics, defender will get to fire first. So it's going to be these 2 cruisers, then this cruiser, then these 2 destroyers, and then the scouts. We'll see how it plays out. The first one to go is going to be these cruisers, and they're going to choose to attack this cruiser group here. There's only 1 here, so they're hoping to eliminate it before it has a chance to fire when it's its turn. Again, normally the attack here would be 4, but now it's going to be 5 because of the fleet bonus. And there is a defense for these cruisers, and they have a 1 that gets subtracted. So the attack of 5 minus 1 means we have to hit on 4 or less. There's a hull size of 2 here, so it's going to require 2 hits in order to take this cruiser out. So let's roll. A 3, well, that's a good start. Now we have use for our damage token. It reminds us that we have taken 1 hit, and if we get 1 more now, this is going to be destroyed. So 1 cruiser is fired, the second one goes. This one was a 9, so that's a miss. Now we go to this cruiser. It's going to choose to attack one of these destroyers, hoping to take 1 out before it gets a chance to fire on its turn. So there is no defense for them, and they have a hull size of 1, so 1 hit will do it. There's an attack of 4 here, no bonuses. So we need a 4 or less to hit. Another 9, that's a miss. That's it for this group. Now these get to fire. There's 2 destroyers. Their attack is normally a 4, but now it's a 5 because of the fleet bonus. They're going to go ahead and try to finish off this cruiser. 5 minus 1 means we have to hit on 4s, and we get 2 chances. First one, 8 is a miss. Second ship is also going to fire at that cruiser. This time it's a hit. We take away the damage marker. This is destroyed, out of the game. Now this destroyer gets to fire. Again, it couldn't retreat here, even if it wanted to, because you have to make it through the first round of combat, and they probably would have retreated. I don't know. They'd be leaving the colony ship to be destroyed. Let's see what they can do here. They're in some real trouble, and the scouts haven't even fired yet. They are going to try to take out one of the scouts with their first roll here. It's 4, no defense, so a 4 or less gets a hit. An 8, not going to do it. Second one, they'll try again. 4 or less, there's a 4. One of these scouts is destroyed, so now we're down to 1. Now the scouts get to fire. They have an attack of 3 normally, but now it's 4 because we had the fleet bonus to start this round. 3 versus no defense. They need a 3 or less to hit, and there's only 1 of them left. And a 1. So that takes out one of the destroyers. Now we go to the next round of combat. It's going to be the cruisers firing first. They will not retreat, and they're going to try to put these destroyers out of their misery. We do get the fleet bonus. We have to establish that every round. It's 5 ships to 1, so it's definitely twice as many. They could screen here, but they're not going to. Screening would mean they can now take out, basically they could move these back if they wanted to, or the scouts, just so if they have more ships, they can move the difference. They could even split up a group if they wanted to, but they're not going to do that here. In fact, nobody's going to leave. They're all going to go after the destroyer. So cruiser has a 4, but it's +1 for the fleet bonus, and it's going after this one. So it's 5. There's no defense and only 1 hull. So we need a 5 or less. And a 6, so that's a miss for the first one. The second ship is also going to fire. This time it was a 9. So now, even though the cruiser has missed, because we don't have tactics, this group gets to fire first before this group still gets to go. So we got 2 more chances to take them out. Here is the attack is still a 5, and there is no defense, so we need a 5 or less. There's a 5. This is destroyed. The colony ship is automatically destroyed because it can't retreat. And red has seized the day, so they will take control of that hex. This time yellow's coming in hot, trying to take out red's home planet and maybe colonize it for themselves. We've got some new units here to show you. We've got a base that is, there's only 2 of those for your color, and you can only have 1 at a particular hex. And these have an attack of 7, defense of 2, and a hull size of 3. Then we've got a battleship, which is a 5 attack with a 2 defense and 3 hull size. And then you've got this battle cruiser, which has a 5 attack and a hull size of 2. The rest of these you've seen before. I'm going to assume that neither side has tactics, so defender will go first in a particular tie for a class. There is also no fleet bonus this time because we have 7 ships here and 5 ships here. Keep in mind that that's assessed after every round, so that could change. We have this colony ship who is not a combat unit, so it will automatically be screened. Red would have the option here of screening, and I think what they might end up doing here is for this first round, since they have a 2 advantage, they're going to pull the destroyers back. I'm not sure if this is a good tactic or not, but they're going to do that. That means the destroyers can't fire, but they also cannot be attacked. So, I'm not sure if I want to do that. I don't think they would. I don't think we're going to screen it all here. We're just going for it. Red gets to fire first, so the base here is going to have an attack of 7, no modifiers. Well, let's see. Who are they going to go after? This battleship's going to be a monster to take out. And it's possible that, well, 2 lucky hits here on the cruiser might take it out before it gets a chance to fight. Attack of 7, defense of 1. We need a 6 or less to hit. It's a 6, so we're going to take just 1 hit here. Hull size of 2, so we don't lose any ships out of that group. Next to fire is going to be this battleship. It's actually going to go after the cruiser. It's going to be attacking with a 5. This has a defense of 1, so it needs a 4 or less to hit. 5 is a miss. Now the battle cruiser gets to go. It's going to try to take out the second cruiser. Well, the second hit on a cruiser to have them only take 1 shot when they get to go. 5 minus 1 is a 4, so we need 4 or less. 2, that's a hit, so we take out one of the cruisers. Flip that over. Now this cruiser class gets to go, and they are going to attack. They're going to go after this destroyer. 4 minus 0, so we need a 4 or less to hit. That's a miss. So now this group of destroyers gets to go because ties go to the defender. They're going to try to attack. You know what? They're going to go after this destroyer group. Maybe they can take one out before they fire. So 4 against 0. We need a 4 or less to hit. A 6. Not going to make it. The second one gets to fire. Same target. 1. That's a hit. We don't need a damage marker. We know that's down to 1. Now these get to fire. Well, they're going to try to take out a scout. So they're going to attack down here. 4. No defense. So 4 or less. 9, that's a miss. Now we go down to the scouts. The scouts have a 3 to attack. They're going to go after the destroyer, who is the only one that doesn't have a defense value. Keep in mind that a 1 always hits no matter what. It's not going to, I don't think it matters here. That's going to be when you have some defense values, but we don't have any of that here. So 3 is what's going to take to hit. First one fires, misses. They're all going to go for this one. Second one fires. A 1, that's a hit. It's out. No more destroyers. They're removed forever. There is still one more scout. It's going to give a shot at this cruiser here, but because they have a defense of 1, it's going to be 3 minus 1. We need a 2 or less. Another 1 would be good here. 5, no good. Now we go into the second round of battle. We need to assess fleet size bonus. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 still over here and only 2 here. So they're definitely going to get the attack bonus. I think possibly we would want to retreat here, but for the purposes of this, it's not exciting. The base gets to fire, and now it's an 8, and it's going to go after this battleship. 8 minus 2, we need a 6 or lower. That is a 9, and that's a miss. This one gets to go. It says, you know what? I'm going to go after your battle cruiser here. 5 minus 1, 4 or less to hit. 8 is a miss. Battle cruiser goes. It's going to attack this cruiser. 5 minus 1 is 4. We need a 4 or higher. 4 or lower, sorry. Miss. Now this one gets to fire, and it's going to fire at the destroyers. 4 versus 0, so 4 or less, that's a miss. They could have screened if they wanted to, and they probably would have. Well, I don't even know if they would have at this point. It's pretty much a massacre. These get to go. They're going to fire at the cruiser. 4 minus 1 is 3. 6 is a miss. Second one goes. A 1, that's a hit. We take a damage over here. Now the scouts get to go. They're all going to go after this one. They need a 2. 3 minus 1 to hit. They only need 1 hit though, so we need a 2 or less. 7 misses, 2 more to go. 8 misses, 1 hits. Cruiser gone. That's the end of the round. They definitely have the fleet bonus. I keep forgetting, by the way, to add the 1 here. I don't think it mattered, but they all had 1 to their attack strength here. So actually a 4 or less would have hit, but it's not going to matter. Basically, we're not going to finish this battle. This one's a massacre. Let's just assume that they end up retreating because they're not going to get killed before they get to go. This colony ship would be lost. So because this unit would have retreated and it probably would have come back, let's say here, face up, tail between its legs. That was bad for them. Now, I'm not going to do another battle, but I'll show you that just in case, had they survived this battle, let's say that all these ships had been destroyed and there was one more battleship. This battleship was the only thing remaining. It would get to take a pot shot at this colony that has no defense. So it would roll a 5 or less, would get a hit, reduce this down to 15. Every round, when there would be a combat round, if there's no more units that are built here or ones that come in to fight this, each combat round, it would get to take one other pot shot. If it reduced this all the way down, if red was the only one remaining, the game would be over. That's how you actually win the game. A couple of other things I want to show you before I end this video is if a battle takes place in a nebula, first thing that happens is all of the ship's classes are E, whether they're an A, B, it doesn't matter. They're all E's. So unless there's tactics researched by one or the other, the defender will get to fire first with all of their ships. So that would be really bad. Also, any defense ratings would be nullified in a nebula. The other one is an asteroid. If a battle takes place there, it's the same thing with a nebula, but it's with attacking. So there'd be no attack bonuses, even if there were any, and every ship would still be a class E, so tactics would definitely matter there. I do think that tactics is an important technology to get because it really does make a difference, as you see when you're firing. Sometimes the other ships wouldn't even get a chance to go, especially if you happen to be firing in one of those two situations. So that's a basic kind of just a few examples of how combat works in this game, and that's just with the base units. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.